Imagine trying to sleep while rain falls without stopping. Not the kind of rain you watch through a window. The kind that turns the ground beneath you into mud. The kind that soaks through animals' skin, kills a weak fire, fills every hollow with water, and makes darkness feel even colder. There is no roof, no waterproof jacket, no dry mattress waiting inside. Just you, your family, the storm, and whatever shelter you managed to build before the sky opened. For ancient humans, rain was not an inconvenience. Rain was a survival problem. Because cold can be fought with fire, darkness can be fought with light, but rain attacks everything at once. It steals warmth from the body. It turns soft ground into a swamp. It ruins dry fuel. It drives insects from the soil. It makes animals restless. It can flood the safest-looking shelter before dawn. So how did ancient humans sleep through endless rain? The answer begins with something humans learned long before they built houses. Never sleep where water wants to go. A storm does not make every place equally dangerous. Water runs downhill. It gathers in low ground. It follows old channels, dips in the landscape, and narrow spaces between rocks. A flat patch of earth might look safe in daylight, then become a shallow pond by midnight. Ancient humans had to read the land. They looked for higher ground. They looked for natural overhangs. They looked for rock shelters that blocked wind and rain from one direction. They looked for places where water could run past the camp instead of through it. That knowledge was not written down. It was learned through experience. One bad sleeping place could teach a lesson nobody forgot. But a dry location was only the beginning. The next problem was the ground itself. Even when rain does not fall directly on you, wet soil can pull heat from the body. Mud sticks to skin and clothing. Damp grass becomes cold. A person lying directly on wet earth may be sheltered from the rain above, but they are still losing warmth from below. So ancient humans changed the floor. They gathered grass, leaves, reeds, plant stems, anything dry enough to create a layer between the body and the earth. This may sound simple, but it was one of the first great human inventions. A bed is not just a soft place to sleep. It is insulation. It traps air. It keeps the body away from moisture. It turns a patch of ground into a place where mourning is possible. Archaeologists have found evidence that humans prepared plant bedding in ancient shelters. At sites in southern Africa, layers of grasses and sedges show that people were not simply sleeping wherever they collapsed. They were building surfaces, maintaining them, and sometimes burning old bedding before laying down new material. That means ancient people understood something we still understand today. A shelter is not only a roof. It is a system. The floor matters. The walls matter. The fire matters. And every weak point becomes dangerous when rain begins. But what happened when there was no cave? This is where ancient humans became more inventive than most people realize. Wood rarely survives for hundreds of thousands of years. Leaves, bark, vines, hides, and branches almost always rot away. That means the archaeological record is unfair to ancient shelters. Stone tools survive, bones survive. But the materials people may have used to keep rain off their heads often disappear completely. Still, a few discoveries reveal what humans were capable of. At Kalambo Falls in present-day Zambia, archaeologists found evidence that ancient hominins shaped and fitted large logs together nearly 500,000 years ago. The structure may have formed part of a raised platform, walkway, or foundation in a wet landscape. That discovery changes the picture. It shows that ancient humans and their relatives were not always wandering through nature with nothing but stones in their hands. They could alter wood. They could fit pieces together. They could build. And in a rainy world, building changes everything. A raised platform keeps bodies above wet ground. A frame can hold branches. Branches can hold leaves. Leaves can guide rain away from the people beneath them. A shelter does not need to look like a modern house to save a life. It only needs to keep wind, water, and cold from reaching the body. Picture a group in a rainstorm. Some people pull branches into place. Others collect large leaves or hides. Someone gathers grass for the floor. Someone else looks for dry wood beneath rocks or inside the hollow of a fallen tree. The group is not building comfort. They are building time. Time to make it through the night. Time for the storm to pass. Time to wake up with enough strength to find food again. Then comes fire. Fire is one of humanity's oldest allies, but rain made it fragile. A fire needs fuel. Fuel needs to be dry enough to burn. And in a storm, dry wood becomes one of the most valuable things in the world. Ancient people may have protected fuel beneath overhangs, inside shelters, under hides, or under layers of branches. They may have kept embers alive beneath ash, where heat could survive even when flames became weak. The goal was not always a roaring blaze. Sometimes, a small living ember was enough. An ember could become tomorrow's fire, and tomorrow's fire could mean warmth, cooked food, light, smoke, and safety. But rain did something else. It forced people closer together. In dry weather, a camp could spread out. People could move, work, gather, hunt, and sleep with space around them. In heavy rain, space becomes a luxury. Everyone moves toward the driest place, toward the safest fire, toward the strongest shelter. And suddenly, survival becomes social. Someone holds a hide over an opening. Someone keeps the fire alive. Someone comforts a child who cannot sleep. Someone notices when water begins to enter from one side. Someone stays awake long enough to make sure the shelter does not collapse. This may be one of the hidden reasons humans became so dependent on one another. Rain is difficult for one person, but a group can solve problems that no individual could solve alone. One person can gather grass. Another can carry wood. Another can make cord. Another can remember which shelter stayed dry during the last storm. Over generations, these small lessons became knowledge. Which plants make better bedding? Which branches bend without breaking? Which caves flood? Which slopes drain? Which seasons bring the worst rain? And eventually, that knowledge became culture. Not written culture, not books or maps, but memory. Stories told beside a fire while rain beat against the shelter outside. Stories about the river that rises too fast. Stories about the valley that traps water. Stories about the tree that burns even after rain. Stories that may have sounded simple, but carried the difference between sleeping safely and waking up in danger. That is the strange truth about ancient humans and rain. They did not defeat storms by being stronger than the weather. They defeated storms by thinking ahead. They raised themselves above the ground. They built barriers from wood, grass, leaves, stone, and hides. They protected fire. They shared work. They remembered what the last storm had taught them. And slowly, rain became less powerful. Not harmless, never harmless, but survivable. So the next time rain taps against your roof at night, remember what that sound once meant. For thousands of generations, it was not background noise. It was a warning, a test, a force that could turn one night into a fight for warmth, shelter, and life. Ancient humans did not sleep through endless rain because they were fearless. They slept because they learned how to build a small, dry world in the middle of a storm. Which fact surprised you the most? What mystery should Whyora explore next? If you enjoy uncovering nature's hidden secrets, don't forget to subscribe.